It's the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker. Great to have you with us. Talking sports. And, of course, STL Sports Central is presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Tony Vitello, officially the new manager of the San Francisco Giants. He, of course, attended DeSmet High School. He attended the University of Missouri. He was an assistant coach at Missouri. He wanted to be the head coach at Missouri. They hired Steve Beazer instead.
How'd that go?
Not great.
Oh.
And so he went to Tennessee instead, became their head coach, one of the preeminent pitching experts in all of college baseball, great recruiter, which won't make a whole lot of difference with the Giants, but also has a great personality. And according to Bob Nightingale of USA Today, he will receive more than $3 million a year. Chris Lowe saying that he will get significantly more money than he got at the University of Tennessee. And congratulations to Tony on becoming the first college coach ever to jump right into a manager's chair in Major League Baseball. I think there is so little difference now between college baseball and the majors because players are rushed so much to the major league level. I really don't think that there's going to be much problem for Tony Vitello in dealing with major league players. That's always been the issue before is, can a college coach deal with a veteran team? And granted, he has a veteran team with people like Matt Chapman and Willie Adames and Rafael Devers and Logan Webb and some of the others that he has. But he also has instant credibility with a lot of his players. There's 4 players in the Giants organization that he coached at the University of Tennessee, already know all about him. He's a guy that gets players to play hard. He is like his dad, Greg Vitello, former coach at DeSmet. He is a stickler for details, for doing the little things right. Mm-hmm. Matthew, I think it was a great move on the part of the Giants, way outside the box by Buster Posey, their Pobo. But when you look around, are there many guys that have as much winning experience as the head man for a baseball team like Tony Vitello has? I don't think there are.
Why has baseball been built to a way that this is that makes this a first? And why will Tony Vitello break the mold?
Okay, here's what's happened with Major League Baseball. Several years ago, they reduced the number of farm teams for every single team to 4 for every single team. The Cardinals used to have 6 minor league teams, and it took longer for players to matriculate through the system.
Nice word.
Thank you. So that a player that arrives at the age of 20, Jordan Walker now, it used to be that there was a lot of competition for the job and the player wasn't rushed as much unless he was already great. And so that player was 22, 23, even 24 when he made his major league debut, 25 now. Now you're getting players that are drafted from college baseball into Major League Baseball within a year. We saw a lot of it this year. And I think we'll probably see it next year with Liam Doyle, the Cardinals' #1 pick. He'll probably make it. So people that were in college recently or at college age, which is what a college coach is coaching, they're going to make the major leagues more quickly. They're going to be playing for a manager now that very easily could have been their college coach. Again, let's use Jordan Walker as an example. Jordan Walker is 23 years old, right? He'll be 23 next year. Last year would have been his senior year in college. He was drafted in 20, so it would have been 21, 22, 23, 24. So if he had a redshirt year or a COVID year, 25 would have been his senior year in college. So he would have been playing for a guy like Tony Vitello probably within the last couple of years. So I think Vitello understands what the young player is like in baseball right now. And Buster Posey understands that. Buster Posey was a great college baseball player at Florida State. He knows what it takes to win. And this is just a jump from what has been happening. Hey, look at the Cardinals pitching coach, Dusty Blake. He was at Duke, right? And he became a major league pitching coach. You see all over the place pitching coaches going from college right to the majors. Now you're just seeing a manager do it.
You had a tweet when the first rumblings of this kind of came out, kind of talking about not just this in the college baseball sense, more in just the overall college sports sense of what essentially, what does this news tell you about college sports?
Well, here's the thing. Tony Vitello is not the only.
Took me long enough to get there.
Yeah, no problem. Tony Vitello is not the only college coach that has players coming into his office literally every single day saying, "Hey, can I get more money?" Or, "Hey, this player is making more than me. Can you get me even with him?" Or, "Hey, I want X amount of dollars to stay." And that becomes a grind for a coach. And I know there's a lot of people saying, well, Major League Baseball players move and they want more money, but they aren't going to the coach or the manager to ask for more money. They're going to the general manager or the POBO. It's a different situation altogether. And this is why Chip Kelly didn't want to be a head coach at UCLA anymore and was willing to go to Ohio State to be their defensive coordinator. It's why Jeff Hafley left the college head coaching job in football at Boston College to go to be the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. Several other college coaches have either gone to the pros or have stepped down from the job that they had as a head coach or general manager so that they could get away from the whole financial aspect of things. Go back to what Nick Saban said before Congress when he said he was having recruits over at the house, and his wife, Miss Cherry, came and said, "Nick, what are we doing here?" And he said, "What do you mean? We're making these players good, better players. We're making them better men." And she said, "I'm out here talking to them, and all they're doing is asking about money." And I think college coaches are tired of that. And I think Tony Vitello was tired of that. He wants to get back to a place where he can just do baseball. And that's what he's going to do with the San Francisco Giants. He'll be able to concentrate only on baseball, get the players, and pay the players. That's in the bailiwick of Buster Posey or other people within that organization. I think Vitello is a great choice, and I think it's a great choice for him if he doesn't want to deal with the new realities of college sports. Oh, by the way, we should point out a guy like Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, a guy like Eli Drinkwitz, a guy like Dennis Gates at the University of Missouri. Many people have embraced the transfer portal and NIL and players getting paid. Some people are old school and don't want to embrace that. I think Tony Vitello is one of those. They just want to coach, or they just want to manage, or they just want to teach. And that's what he's doing. And I think it's a great move on his part.
And inherently, I respect it so much that he says, you know what, I don't want to deal with this thing. I'm going to go to the pro level. Whereas Nick Saban just said, I'm going to retire and then take.
But Saban's
shots
73.
about it.
Saban was close.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go to the NFL.
Yeah, well, he went to the NFL.
How'd that go?
Well, he didn't sign Drew Brees, did he?
No, he didn't.
He should have signed Drew Brees.
He really should have signed
you know
Drew
what?
Brees.
Nick Saban could have coached anywhere. He would have won.
I firmly believe he could have coached the NFL.
Yeah,
I would have liked to see it. It doesn't always work, as we're learning from Bill Belichick as well. It's an odd time in college sports, that's for sure.
It really is. And hey, it's still great. It's still awesome. It's different, but I think if you look at the product, even of 6 or 7 or 8 years ago, let's take a look at the product of the LSU championship team with Chase and Jefferson and Burrow and Patrick Queen and all of those guys. That was an unbelievable product. Probably pretty likely now that if you have Jefferson and Chase on the same team, one of them is going to leave.
Yeah.
Because one of them isn't getting the ball thrown to him enough, even with Joe Burrow as quarterback. And by the way, Joe Burrow did transfer, right, from Ohio State because he wasn't getting playing time to LSU. But we aren't going to have those loaded teams like we had before. And it's going to be very difficult to keep a team together because there's always going to be more out there, and the player's always going to have or want greener grass. And look at a guy like Kevin Coleman, a St. Louis kid, really nice player. He's on his 4th school in 4 years. There are too many players like that prevent college coaches from being able to build a great product simply because you don't have the continuity among players. Used to be that you could build a program. Not saying that this was right for the players because it wasn't, but you kept a player for 4 years. You could stagger, have a group of seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen. You had a program in place. And when one player graduated, you had another player ready to plug in. Now a player leaves or graduates, you go into the transfer portal, you plug in another player, but he's got to learn your system. And so there isn't the precision that you had back in the day, even 10 years ago when Gary Pinkel ended his coaching career at the University of Missouri. You don't have those sorts of programs and coaches teaching and overseeing those programs.
What do you think about the Giants as we look back towards the actual future of Vitello's new team? Last 2 years under Melvin, they were 3 games under 500 total in the last 2 years. 2 games under 500 total in the last 2 years. So they're a very mediocre team. Is this the guy that gets them back over the hump? Alongside Buster Posey, obviously pulling all the strings from the front office side.
I believe that there is a chance that he could get them back over the hump, but you do need starting pitching. This year, Justin Verlander had a really good stretch run for them. I don't know if they bring Verlander back. There's also talk, by the way, of them signing Vitello's close friend Max Scherzer to fill in for the Verlander role, and Scherzer would not be a player coach, but he would act as a player coach in trying to get some of their young pitchers to ascend to a major league quality level. They have a legitimate ace in Logan Webb.
To your point about the pitching, though, I was just going to chime in. This past year, they had only 4 pitchers start more than 22 games, more than 20 games. I should say. Heck, let's actually break it down even. They had 4 pitchers start more than 11 games this year.
Yeah. So, and Ray were 2 of those, right?
Yes.
And
Landon Raup was the other one, and then the next one you dropped down to Hayden Birdsong, who started 10 games for them.
Yeah, and they traded their closer at the deadline. They traded 2 closers at the deadline, and so you've got to fix the bullpen, which is for a veteran general manager or Pobo. That's probably the easiest thing to do is go build a bullpen, but we just don't know the people in their bullpen. So you've got Webb and Ray and Verlander up front, and then you really have holes in the 4th and 5th spots in the rotation. By the way, they also traded former Cardinal Jordan Hicks at the deadline. But their lineup is pretty good. Patrick Bailey is a legitimate good young catcher. You know about Devers' propensity to hit home runs, and he actually had a nice stretch and actually played first base for them, which he was willing to do. That was nice. Matt Chapman at third, Adames at short. Elio Ramos has arrived as a left fielder. He's good. Jung-Hoo Lee came over from Korea. He's pretty good. The former Tennessee star Drew Gilbert is their right fielder. Bryce Eldridge, their top prospect, they brought him up at the end of the season. He's got a ton of potential, 6'7", former first baseman. Now he's a DH. So offensively, defensively, I think they've got a chance to be pretty good. My question is, can they fill in the back part of that rotation? What was the thing that he did best, Vitello did best at Tennessee? Develop young pitching.
To your point, I think it kind of surprises a lot of people, but Devers did, while only playing 90 games, did finish with the team high of a 130 OPS plus.
Yeah.
So I know he was a punchline for good reasons. He's still a punchline as his hiring is being made. But if he can be a legitimate, threat for them at DH or first base, it adds. They have 6 at that point. They have 6, 7 guys who hit above or at 107 or above 1 OPS plus. It's not a bad lineup.
And if you're a person that has a tendency to be concerned with or talk about the lack of emotion showed by a coach in any sport, he doesn't show enough emotion. He needs to show more emotion. You're going to love Tony Vitello because he is an emotional guy. If you haven't watched Liam Doyle highlights on YouTube, check him out because he encouraged Liam Doyle's activity. And what he said was that Doyle was a combination emotionally of Al Raboski and Max Scherzer. And so that's a lot of intensity. He loves that intensity. He shows that intensity. And I think his team will probably wind up reflecting that intensity.
Brian Ellison, dumb question, but if you change schools 4 times in 4 years, how do you get an education?
The most ridiculous thing right now that I think we shouldn't do it. Allow them to do it because they're delusional.
What are we doing?
The people calling athletes student athletes. They aren't anymore.
What?
No, they aren't student athletes.
What?
This is pro sports that we've got going on.
Is this a new thing that's just happening now?
Well, there used to be like graduation rates and stuff.
Whoa.
And you used to have senior day where the players in their fourth year of school would get a big hug from Gary Pinkel.
My favorite one ever is for a personal anecdote, is my friend was taking their capstone class, the final class you need to graduate. And it's always like this, it's usually like this big group project at the very end of it. And they're in the middle of the big group project to end it. It's the spring semester. Mizzou basketball season ends. And Phil Pressey just completely f's off,
yeah,
and just quits school with like a month left because the Mizzou basketball season ends, and now he's going to go train for the NBA draft. And so he's in this class. He's one of like these 5 people preparing this project to get their degrees, and he literally just boop drops off. Dumb.
And I think we've reached a point now.
That was 2013, by the way.
Yeah, used to be with basketball and football, and I think now you can throw baseball into the mix. That if you are signing with a college to play sports at that college, you're going there. If you're at a Power 4, you're going there with the idea that you're going to play pro sports. The likelihood of you playing pro sports, minuscule. But in talking to A, young people, and B, in talking to coaches, one of the big things that coaches sell is, and this is one of the things that Eli Drinkwitz can sell now at the University of Missouri. Hey, we get guys to the NFL. We had Darius Robinson go to the NFL. We had Armand Membo go to the NFL this year. And I used to do a thing at a local, for a local boys and girls club every year. And I would ask the young men, and it was hundreds of them, I would say, how many of you think that you're going to play pro sports? Almost every hand went up.
Yep.
Right? They truly believe, and some of them do, that they're going to go and play pro sports. And here's the thing. Some of these kids wound up going to Chaminade. If Chaminade turned out Bradley Beal and Justin Tatum, or Jason Tatum, how are you going to tell these kids, no, you can't do it? Because they've seen kids live their dream. So the focus of most athletes when they sign to play college sports in 2025 is to play pro sports, get paid for playing sports. And at this point, how can you tell them, no, it's not a realistic thing when so many people have made it and so many people who will never make huge money in pro sports are making huge money playing college sports? Is Carson Beck ever going to make as much money in pro football as he's making now at Miami and made at Georgia? I don't think he is.
Absolutely not.
No, I don't think he'll be a good enough NFL quarterback to do that. So
are you guys like ready for the half red, half orange, like themed car lot that will be halfway between Miami and Athens, Georgia? That will be the basis of his empire one day.
Didn't he get he was driving a free Lamborghini, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
At Georgia. I wonder what he's driving on in South Beach. But
imagine just be able to drive up and down that highway and just be a hero to everyone there.
Right. So my point here, to get back to what we originally were talking about with Tony Vitello, is he can relate to all of these young people. And so the player is younger that's arriving on the scene in Major League Baseball. He's 47. He relates to them very, very well. I don't think that he needs to worry about the money aspect of things because he's been working with people that were making more than him. He was making $3.3 million with benefits at Tennessee. There were probably players at Tennessee that were making more than him, so he doesn't need to worry about that. He just needs to be him, and I think he's going to be a success.
Fair enough. Speaking of the college game, we had some news today because, the news actually came down yesterday that caused this little piece of news from today.
Can I go back to one thing?
Go for it.
Nancy Renee checks in, and we always appreciate her listening. And there's a conversation going on in the chat. And he said athletes still have to be on track to graduate. And Nancy says they still need to meet NCAA academic qualification standards. That may be true, but I think those standards have dropped dramatically because I can't tell you the last time I remember an NCAA athlete being suspended for grades. You remember the last time? And if you,
I can't remember.
If you remember a time recently, when a player was suspended for grades. Now, I'm not saying that they don't need to meet the qualifications. They do. I'm just saying that the qualifications are either out the window or they find a way, which they've always done, to have a player qualify. And what does that mean? You reduce the academic standards so that you can get people into school so that they meet the qualifications that the NCAA requires. I believe that's what's happening in college sports now. I think most players are there, especially because in football and in basketball, they have their own tutors.
Mhm.
Sometimes tutors even write papers for them. You ever hear about that? But anyway, they all have their own tutors.
That was an unfortunate shot at my Mizzou heritage, and that was unnecessary.
No, I was talking about Mississippi State.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the time that Mizzou did the dumbest thing and self-reported. Yeah. And get this, Randy, the NCAA punished them.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And then and at the same time, on the heels of that, we found out that after 30 years of everyone making basket weaving jokes about UNC and other schools like that, UNC actually had basket weaving classes.
Literally had basket weaving classes.
And on the heels of them getting almost no punishment for that, Mizzou self-reported and got absolutely steamrolled.
Yeah, and I think was it Mississippi State that had the exact same thing happening? A tutor writing a paper for a student. Mississippi State,
so, yeah.
They didn't get any punishment at all, and Missouri did. But anyway, the point here is that academic standards have dropped for athletes to the point where it's not even worth having the conversation anymore. You could even get Ricky Clemens through school now.
Damn.
Yeah.
Randy's not messing around with this one. All right, fair enough. The other thing in college basketball, so 2 days ago, it was reported that Louisville had signed a player for their class of 2026. Uh-huh. The tricky part about this player, Randy, is that he is not a high school senior. The tricky part about this player by the name of Landon Johnson is that Landon Johnson has spent the last 3 seasons playing in the G League. Where he played for the Maine Red Claws and the Cleveland Charge, who were the affiliates of the Boston Celtics and Cleveland Cavaliers, respectively. He is a 4-star coming out of high school of the 2022 recruiting class, where he had offers from Bama, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and then Louisville at the time. He signed a 2-year, $1.1 million deal with the G League Unite. Saw a good amount of success there. And thanks to a ruling last month by the NCAA about Thierry Darlon, who allowed him to play, who played previously in the G League, and now he'll play D1 hoops at Santa Clara. On the hoops of this, we got a response from the legend Tom Izzo, who spoke today. We don't have the audio, but they did a great job of getting some audio, some quotes from him. And the big one for me that really kind of crystallized this, Tom Izzo, I love my job. I don't respect my profession. And he had some other very damning quotes about right now the state of college basketball.
Well, and let's get into this. He said, I'm going to get myself in trouble, but I listen to people talk about how kids changed. Kids aren't the problem. We're the problem. He said, this was sprung on us again yesterday, where a guy can be in the G League for 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden he's eligible. Most of my people knew nothing about it. I'm not real excited about the NCAA or whoever is making these decisions without talking to us, just letting it go. They're afraid they're going to get sued. He went on to say, I'm going to call Magic and Jaren Jackson and Miles and Jordan and Max. This just shows you how ridiculous people that are in power make decisions. What about the freshmen you recruited? To me, it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. I love my job. As you said, Matthew, I don't respect my profession. Well, it's part and parcel of what we are dealing with now in college sports, that nobody knows what the rules are, and it literally is like the Wild West where anything goes. And if Louisville can do it, and by the way, it's my understanding that this all came together very quickly, like in 15 seconds with Louisville. A lot of things happen in 15 seconds in Louisville.
Amazing. Nicely done.
Thank you. But if Louisville can do it, all it does is open the door for everybody else to do it. And here's my question.
Again, this is one of 3 cases that you're looking at. You also have Abdullah Ahmad is another player who has 6 offers right now who played in the G League.
So, okay, so here's my question for you. With this having happened, why are we limiting it to the G League? For example, if somebody wanted to recruit Bronny James to play for them in college, and he played in the G League, but he also played in the NBA, and he would transfer from USC. Why would he be prevented from? Dennis Gates decides, hey, you know what? We're going to recruit Bronny James. He's played pro basketball.
Well, I'd have to read the.
What's the difference between the G League and the NBA?
I mean, I'm guessing if we actually read the NCAA's ruling, which I haven't read the full NCAA ruling.
Nobody knows that.
I would guess it would have to do something with the fact that the G League is developmental, and maybe that's something along those lines. Let me see if I can figure out exactly.
But how could anybody logically say in a court of law that the way that Bronny James was played in 24-25 was not strictly developmental?
I mean, I think that's a fair point. This is really tricky. By the way, both Darlin with Santa Clara and Landon Johnson are entering as juniors with 2 years of eligibility. That's also kind of crazy to me. Like you're saying, we'll give you 1 more year. 2 years of eligibility is kind of the craziest part about this, isn't it?
Yeah. And by the way, if you're not aware of this, NCAA hockey programs can recruit from the Canadian junior leagues now.
The NCAA decision for Darlin was for 2 years of eligibility was based on his age and years removed from high school at the NBA Academy, because he's from the Central African Republic. So he went to the NBA's Academy program.
Okay.
That's according to his agent. Years removed from high school and his age.
So again, wasn't Bronny James a one and done?
I think so, yeah.
And isn't living in LeBron James' home like the ultimate basketball academy?
You need to get into NIL lawyer stuff. This is incredible right now.
I'm just saying.
You're putting on an absolute performance right now. We need a courtroom and you need to have some money on the line. Yeah. This is you are double talking with the best of them. So you can leave early, then come back if you don't make it. I apparently yes, because I'm looking at this Darlin story, and it looks to me like, based on what ESPN reported here, he, after declaring for and withdrawing from the 2005-25 NBA draft. So people have done that before.
Yeah, Carson Beck did
that's a new thing that you can do now. They changed the rules around that. So Randy's point would be a new stark difference in that Bronny actually declared for the draft.
Mm-hmm.
That'd kind of be the hard
Carson
line.
Beck declared for the draft.
Yeah, but they changed the rule now. You can declare for the draft and then come back as long as you do it before the new deadline.
Okay, so here's again. I would wonder what the deadline is. Let's go back to a name that we brought up earlier. If a guy like Jordan Walker would decide, you know what, I want to go to Duke and play baseball now, why would anybody stop him?
I don't think anybody would. I think people would say, why not?
Yeah,
let's have some fun.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the big thing that I took from Tom Izzo's quotes, though, is that the issue is that a lot of people want to blame the players first and foremost. Yeah. And Tom Izzo's fantastic point was, this is the coach's fault. The coach has to respect the freshman that he's recruiting. It kind of has to respect like the kind of how the game's supposed to be played in the first place. And so him pointing that out, and he's like, we're afraid to get sued,
and that's the NCAA,
cowardly, and things like that. So I really loved that Tom Izzo pointed out that the guys making $8 or $9 million need to be just as much pressure as the players out there.
And I do think it's incumbent upon the NCAA when a decision like this is made, because as Izzo said, most of my people knew nothing about it. They need to send an email to everybody that says, hey, you can do this now. They don't even have to say why. All they have to do is say, hey, Louisville's getting this kid from the G League. We can do this now. And then everybody at least knows the rules and is playing on the same playing field.
I hate the playing field, but I guess level's better than nothing.
Well, and it's not bad. I mean, hey, what's the kid's name that's going to Louisville?
Landon Johnson.
See, now he can get an education.
Oh, Jesus. But my problem is, like, this is also coming on everything they're now doing with the tournament, and they want to make it so that all the automatic qualifiers have to play on the special first week, which is one proposal, and it's just the scheduling is so screwed to the point where now every mid-major coach is now acknowledging if you're a good mid-major, you're screwed, because why would anyone schedule you and make you a risky a risky quadrant 2 or even a risky quadrant 3 game? It's we'll take rough quadrant 1Ls, and then we'll destroy quadrant 4 teams, and that's the entirety of our schedule. Mid-majors are getting pushed out. G League players are returning. College basketball is not in a good place.
Let's go back to what we talked about a moment ago. Power 4 college sports. Leave college out of it. Power 4 sports are pro sports now. They are their own professional leagues. You've got kids flying from Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, or Chapel Hill, North Carolina, to Cal to play a Saturday night football game. You've got kids flying across the country to play college basketball games from UCLA to Ann Arbor, Michigan. You have players like Bo Prabula leaving during the playoffs and getting $2.5 million to make a change. It's allowed, so we can't have a problem with it. But we need to be realistic about this. This is pro sports, and the transfer portal is free agency. Transfer portal /NIL is free agency, and there's no way around this. Nobody cares, as we mentioned earlier. Nobody gets suspended for academics anymore. This is pro sports, and the money is unbelievable. You know, I did the math. Not good at math. You know this. 8 college football coaches, the first 8 college football coaches that were fired this year during the season.
Oh, no.
$110 million in buyouts. James Franklin, $49 million.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, $21 million for the Florida guy, Billy Napier. The $110 million from athletic department budgets that are going to coaches to not coach. Next year, the University of Florida will be paying 2 coaches to not coach and 1 coach to coach.
Imagine if we could create the bum ass scholarships fund. $110 million went into a scholarship fund for people, and those bum ass coaches didn't get paid for not working. That'd be fantastic. I think America would be a better place.
I think that'd be fun. Yeah, Jimbo Fisher would be the president of that club, right?
Yes, he would. He'd be giving so many people education. And honestly, think about that. Guys like Bobby Petrino, who are slowly but surely, little by little, giving people an education in small towns all across America. Imagine if Jimbo Fisher could just be the king of that and just
that'd be great
all at once.
By the way, our friend Michelle Smallman had Ed Orgeron on her show a couple of weeks ago on Sportsmanlike on ESPN Radio in the morning, and she asked him if he wanted to get back into coaching, and he said, "I'll be coaching again next year."
Yeah.
He was with Miami, where both of his sons are on the staff of Mario Cristobal. How about Ed Orgeron for Florida?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
He's always been a great recruiter.
Yeah.
He won a championship. He can put together a staff. You can sell that to the Florida faithful.
He can coach a bunch of athletes. We know that.
Yeah.
You can't really coach them up that.
But they win. They won a championship.
They win.
Yeah.
You mama put this in, and you're half right on the back end, but I have an issue with this mindset, because yes, college is broken, but it's not because the kids are trying to make money.
No.
The point of the college is to get educated enough to get a job, to make money. If you can make more money in 5 years of college than most people make in a lifetime, why prioritize an education? That last part is you're right, but the first part is I wish you were still correct. But unfortunately, the first part of your comment is from 1987. And as someone born in 1991 who went to college in 2009, the idea that going to college is to get educated enough to help you make more money in your profession is mostly completely not correlated to going to college anymore. And so the idea that it's okay to hold back some people's ability to make money in a 4-year period, but you don't hold back regular people's, or that you shouldn't be able to make money in that 4-year period, you have to prioritize education. Whereas if you stumble across an invention or a business idea, you shouldn't be able to prioritize that as well as getting an education, even if that isn't the main priority. That's what regular students can do. There's no reason athletes shouldn't be able to do that as well. In this country, there's not a lot of times in your life where you're going to have a chance to make a lot of money. And if that time happens to come up between the ages of 18 and 22, there should be no restrictions between me making all of my money or the most money I'm going to make in my lifetime in that 4-year period. There should be no restrictions to that just because I'm also trying to get an education. Even if I don't prioritize it, I'm allowed to prioritize my things, especially in this country, the way it works.
As long as it's physically within the best interests of an athlete. There's no way an 18-year-old should be playing in the National Football.
That's fair.
So you've got to physically and mentally and emotionally make sure that what you're doing is in the athlete's best interests.
Yeah, and that's why I think at 18 years old, when they're still sacrificing their body and God knows what can happen on that field, they should be able to pull a salary from that.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. One other note from Samuel Howe. He said, I think promotion and relegation would work for college sports. Here's the problem with that. Let's use the University of Southern California as an example. University of Southern California has 3 bad years, and they get relegated. But the folks at ESPN and Fox say, hey, one of the reasons we gave you people $11 billion is because people want to see the University of Southern California. You can't relegate the University of Southern California. People want to see them. Even if they're not good, people want to see USC. I think the people that are paying the TV rights would have a real issue with the gamble of any program, and it could happen, any program falling off for 2 or 3 years and being relegated and not being on TV anymore.
See, it bothers me that you use USC as an example when Notre Dame's right there.
Well,
just as like, here's literally, can you imagine if somebody was like, in 5 years, Notre Dame's just not going to be a power, it just won't be able to play power teams anymore.
But who relegates
How
them?
dare you?
Yeah, who are they a member of that relegates them?
Fair point. It's also a fair point.
Yeah.
Well, we force them to be a part of a league now.
Yeah, we could do that. But hey, let's put North Carolina in there, okay? Yeah. North Carolina was not good last year. They aren't going to be good for the next couple of years. North Carolina's that's an historic program. They've got Lawrence Taylor. They've got Drake May now in the NFL. People want to see.
Here's the thing,
right?
I just think I understand why people want this, but the bottom line is certain things just aren't going to work unless they've been grandfathered in. Mm-hmm. And that's the bottom line, because here's the thing. Promotion and relegation would absolutely, across American sports, both whether college or pro, promotion and relegation would drive competition in a beautiful way. But because of the way American sports are built, it will never happen. At the same time, what would help make the EPL like rival, like it's huge. There's a ton of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I'm not saying they want this, but like, the marketing you could do in soccer, if it was culturally available to do the playoffs in the EPL, can't ever pull it off. It's something that like has to be grandfathered into the competition. Essentially, you could never pull off a playoff system. But man, if you could just have literally 4 more games where you could hype it up the way that the NFL does for an entire week, you can't tell me that the EPL wouldn't rake in so much damn money just on like those 4 games if they could do it, but they can never get away with it because it would break like the cultural norm. That's my thing with promotion relegation. Yes, it would make the sport better. We have to get over the fact that everything has been built for the last 70 years on a profit-based model of ownership that cannot work with promotion and relegation because people are buying in for billions of dollars. And you can't tell them that in 3 or 4 years, if you're really bad, you now are competing for pennies on that dollar.
No playoffs. My job just got a lot easier.
Yeah. see, that's the American frame of mind.
That's Ted Lasso, baby. Hey, Missouri, get ready. The wait's almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State, and you can sign up today. New Missouri customers can get $300 in bonus bets when we launch on December 1st. Download now and place a $5 bet when DraftKings goes live. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we officially go live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions. Safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use that promo code STL Sports to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live on December 1st. That's code STL Sports in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Randy, the Blues look a little slow to me.
Yeah.
And
to their coach.
And to their coach. And we're going to play some Monty sound. The big thing I want to get out in front of, though, is just the reason they look slow has to be that even in that third period, they're tired because they're not running a third pairing on defense. Yeah. They're barely running a fourth line because at this point Snuggy's barely playing for some reason. Texier didn't see any of the third period, so they're barely running a four lines deep at all. No wonder they're looking slow. They're tired because the guys actually out there are running crazy amounts of shifts. It was a weird night last night,
but they were better in the third than they were in the first,
which is insane.
The first, and I don't use the word embarrassing very often for pro sports players or teams, but I thought that the first period, for the first 5 minutes of the first period for the Blues, was kind of embarrassing for them. The way that they just absolutely got dominated. And you have to feel bad if you are a Blues player and you're getting booed early in the season, fourth home game. And it really did look to me like they had no interest in being out there. And I think that's the way Jim Montgomery felt after the game when he talked about how his team had performed.
It's disappointing that we don't start on time. We didn't come close to executing the game plan. We're going to have to change things up and do things different, because we're not like the intensity we started a game with. Just it wasn't there. It was lacking, and we need to find more consistency with how we play. It's the same thing as last year. We're going through the exact same thing as last January, and we're going to have to get it changed, and we're going to have to go to work all together. That's how you gain consistency, is through communication. It's by players holding players accountable, coaches holding players accountable, players holding coaches accountable. We're not getting the job done right now with our consistency, with effort and execution. And we have to demand more of each other.
All right, Coach, and to your point about the minutes played, and he talked about holding people accountable. Texier, 6 minutes and 55 seconds. Snuggy, 9:48. Matthew Kessel, 8:55. Matthew Joseph, 12:53. 9:43 for Tyler Tucker, 10:13 for Bugstad. So he is giving players less ice time. The problem is that the players that they really need to be great, they're best guys. Any team in hockey, the coaches always tell you, our best players need to be our best players. They aren't pulling that off. The Blues' best players now, and I'm not going to go. I'm just going to go by number. Okay, Braden Shen. Doesn't show up on the score sheet, and he's a -1. Had 3 shots on goal. Robert Thomas does have an assist. 21 minutes, had 1 shot on goal. We already talked about Snuggerud. Jordan Kyrou also has an assist in 20 minutes. He had 1 shot on goal. Jordan Kyrou had 1 shot on goal. Parayko doesn't show up on the score sheet. Colton Parayko, 1 shot on goal. Neighbors, 1 shot on goal. Yeah, you just have to be better, and your better players. Dylan Holloway, a -1, doesn't show up on the score sheet.
That's
minus 1 shot on goal. Your best players have to be better than that. Buchnevich, no shots on goal, and took the bad penalty in overtime. So their best players, and it seems like the lesser players are getting punished, or maybe he's just thinking, well, at some point these guys have to step up, but the best players aren't the best players right now.
When you hear him compare this to January, what does that tell you is the big problem? What does that tell you is the solution?
Well, last year, they really didn't turn it on until after 4 Nations.
Yeah.
And I think that he had a chance to get them together, and he was new, and his message was new and fresh, and I think they bought in. But maybe you are when we talk about, and I mentioned this before the season started, when you lose people like Leddy and Suter and Foxa, Those are institutional players that know how to win. Letty's won a Stanley Cup. Foxa has been deep into the playoffs. Ryan Suter has been in the finals, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But it's players that have been around to know how to win. That's a lot of knowledge that walked out the door, and you replace him with Suter, who's a good player, but hasn't played to that level and hasn't had to show, had the opportunity to show that level of consistency. That's another word that Monty used. Consistency to be good all the time. Obviously, Stuggerud hasn't had that opportunity. Tucker hasn't had that opportunity. Kessel, the Yarn playing Mayu. These guys are novices in terms of playing NHL hockey, and there's just not enough there yet. I do think losing the veterans has something to do with it. I said it on the first day of the season that I thought that the Blues were a better team in Game 7 against Winnipeg last year than they were on opening day this year. But I do believe they're going to get better and ascend this year, but they're learning how to win. It's a young team that hasn't really, the bottom half of the roster in terms of age hasn't done anything yet, and they need to learn how to win, and they need to take a cue from the consistent effort of a guy like Braden Chen. I think that he means a lot. And by the way, I want to go back to the last guy we mentioned there. Pavel Buchnevich is just an abject disappointment.
Yes, that's the big one. And saying he's a whipping boy and saying all the fans need to blame him, I don't want to take it to that point, high definition, but I do want to highlight that one, because bottom line, he's one of the highest paid players on the team. He is the most veteran forward on the team, or the highest on the top 6.
He's also the most skilled
guy on the team. I know Shen's there, but most veteran of the talented guys that you have to lean on for the offense. Holloway, Kyrou, Robert Thomas. You know who I'm talking about here. He has been consistently at 19 minutes per game on the ice. He's just over 17 this season right now for the Blues. He has no goals through 6 games. He hasn't been effective on the power play. It's just nothing about what he's doing is dynamic, or what a first line, top line player has to do for a team, especially a team like this. We talk about the Dodgers and things like this. I know it's less so in hockey in the cap leagues, but still, when you're a mid-market team, your big number players, if they don't show up, you don't succeed. You so rarely. And he's your big number player. He's got to step up. He's got to be a first line level player.
Yeah,
bottom line.
We're not seeing enough compete level from him.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's a code, by the way. When NHL coaches say we're not seeing enough compete level from him, that's saying he's not trying hard enough.
Oh, okay.
I want to throw one other thing in here. After the Stanley Cup, before the 2019 season, there was a kid reporter during training camp at a Blues practice, and he got a chance to ask a question. And he asked Craig Berube who his favorite player was. And Berube kind of danced around it for a bit, and then he said, "You know what? It's Oscar Sundqvist, because Oscar Sundqvist is the engine of our team. He might be a fourth line guy, but he is the guy that makes things go. He is the engine." And the Blues will get Oscar Sundqvist back for their Thursday night game. And he is still that guy from an emotional standpoint. Now, he is diminished because of injury. He's not the same player that he was in talking of Oscar Sundqvist in 2018-19 or 19-20. Physically not the same guy. But in terms of bringing it every single night, and we haven't had him yet this year. We haven't seen Oscar Sundqvist, but he's still that guy that brings it every night. There's a great old line that Ken Hitchcock used to use all the time about dragging people into the fight. And that's one thing that Oscar Sundqvist will do. He'll drag people into the fight. And I hope, Matthew, that if other players see that he's out there, even with his bad knee, and even, what's his current injury? What did he have?
It was just a knee.
Another knee?
Yeah.
So if he is out there doing everything he can to win a hockey game, I hope that people like Pavel Buchnevich and Jimmy Snuggerud and Jordan Kyrou and whomever, they say, man, that guy's giving his all. I better do that too. I hope we get that sort of response from the return of Oscar Sundqvist, because if it doesn't work then, and Jim Montgomery still has to wonder about the team's communication, and consistency and effort, then you do have problems. You have to, after what has happened so far this home season, with the 8-3 loss, with the 5-0 loss in the opener, and with last night, when you're doing what the Blues are doing on home ice, there should be alarm bells ringing all over Enterprise Center. This is a major red flag. I know it's still early in the season, but you can tell when Jim Montgomery is that concerned about the way they performed on home ice, that there are problems that he's trying to solve. Remember in the game against Chicago, it was national TV, and Panger was doing it, right? And the interview with Montgomery on TV, he said, slowly but surely, we're going to take over this game, because he didn't have to say this, but he said, we're going to take over this game with the inference that we're just a better team. Well, Chicago took over the game. And when you're losing to lesser teams, not that LA is a lesser team, but they didn't even really compete, even though they went to overtime. When you're losing to lesser teams and when you aren't competing at a high level with lesser teams, then you have real problems. And I think the way Montgomery referred to last night's game, I would say that they've got some real problems.
Before we move on to our last topic and close out the show, I just want to remind everybody, Randy and Bernie's conversation every Friday morning. We release it right here on the STL Sports Central, give you at least 30 minutes every time, breaking down the latest stories. I'm sure you guys will be breaking down a lot of Tony Vitello, Mizzou getting another big win before they face off against a very tricky Vandy team. Plenty of things coming up here on this week's conversation between Randy and Bernie. Subscribe and hit the bell button right now to never miss an episode of your favorites, Randy Karraker and Bernie Miklas, right here on STL Sports Central. Our last thing here, a little dip in from the league, because Sean Payton made a little comment about how he had told the Giants ownership, John Mara, that he wanted them to wait until after they played the Broncos before they made the switch to Jackson Dart. Russell Wilson took that as a pretty direct shot and made a comment about still bounty hunting 15 plus years later. At least Jamal Adams, former Seahawk, has come out and kind of laughed, and there's been some people jumping on the bandwagon of Russell Wilson kind of taking a shot at Sean Payton. Your thoughts on Russell Wilson doing the first funny thing I've ever seen him do in his career?
Well, let me start with this. I think it's really sad when athletes don't realize that it's over.
No.
And Russell Wilson, he had a 450-yard game against Dallas, but it's over for him. And every Giants fan wanted him benched for Jackson Dart. And clearly, Sean Payton knows Russell Wilson very well, studied Jackson Dart.
Too well, you'd argue.
There's no reason for him to lie about that. He would have rather played Russell Wilson than Jackson Dart. Now, Russell Wilson,
by the way, so would every other football coach in America.
No doubt about it. Russell Wilson, that was a funny line. And yes, still bounty hunting. But
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I just feel bad that Russell Wilson can't come to grips with the fact that it's over. Now, it's been just Seattle,
the concussion
Denver.
Water has to just take its effect eventually.
Okay, baby.
And he'll be fine.
But it's been Seattle, Denver, Pittsburgh, the Giants. Denver didn't want him. Denver paid him $80 million to go away. They took a hit on their cap, 1 year of $80 million, so that and this was last year, Knicks' rookie year, so that they didn't have to have Russell Wilson on their team. Pittsburgh went to the playoffs with him, and you know what? We'd rather have 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
You know what? He's the, I can't remember how many times like a Hall of Fame level player has looked so futile even in their last few years. Because I feel like
you're too young,
I guess,
to remember Namath going to the Rams or United.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, did Montana with the Chiefs?
No, he went to the AFC Championship game in his last.
Okay, game. but United's with the Rams would be one of those where it was just like he looked futile.
Yeah,
in the last ones.
The Chargers. Excuse me. Namath with the Rams. Yeah, they looked helpless.
Okay,
and it was sad.
Because that's what I'm getting with Russell.
Yeah, me too.
For his size and everything, he was a mountain of a man despite his size in Seattle, and now it's just all the shine's off completely. I've forgotten what it's like to look at Russell Wilson be an effective, Pro Bowl level quarterback.
Another guy, and we tend to forget that it happened to him. is Brett Favre. Remember his career ended on a big hit.
Yeah, you're right.
In 09.
The Giants or the Jets,
in
the
10
Jets
maybe?
year, or was it the second Vikings
It was the
year?
Vikings year, yeah. The year
second
after they went to
Vikings
the
year.
NFC Championship game and he threw the bad pick against New Orleans. That was 09. And then it happened in 2010. And then he was done after that. But Kurt
That's when I
Warner.
started being cynical.
Oh, yeah.
When he threw that interception to Tracy Porter.
That was bad.
That was
But
bad.
Kurt
Saw it coming a
Kurt
mile
Warner,
away.
last game he played was a playoff game.
Yeah.
He was good to the end. Last game that Peyton Manning played, even though he didn't really deserve, well, he deserved it because his team won, but he was not good. When Peyton Manning's last game.
I think that's the most lopsided Super Bowl I've ever watched. Was that worse than
Carolina? That was
the one where the ball got snapped over his head to start the Super Bowl.
That was the Seattle one.
Yeah, that was the Seattle one.
Yeah, but that wasn't his last game.
one. You're right. My bad.
So that was a great season.
Yeah, it was a great season, but man,
that was a 55 touchdown pass season.
But his neck was
that
not
was
connected to his body anymore.
Yeah,
at that point
it was it was not great. But then Manning's last game though, they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So but we're gonna remember. I'll remember that a guy, and you'll remember the Russell Wilson's last NFL game. Probably he looked helpless, and it's sad to see a guy that was in a Super Bowl. You know what? If they would have run the ball, he would have had 2 Super Bowls.
Yep.
If they would have not listened to him, they would have won 2 Super Bowls. But that's the way his career is going to end. And you know what? I'm going to remember.
I never remember. He lobbied for the slant.
Oh yeah, that was
I did not remember that.
To let Russ cook.
Oh
yeah,
I've completely forgotten. Good
yeah,
job. Your mama let Russ cook into the chat earlier. Good job there. Also, high definition. This is so sadly true. If the Rams were still in St. Louis, Russ would be the starting quarterback right now.
No doubt about it.
God, I hate how accurate that is. God.
Although, let's see.
So true.
Let's hold on here. So they left 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
You think you already would have run through? You would think we already would have ran through them?
This would be the last year of the lease at the Dome.
Yeah, it would
if we would have spent $700 million to upgrade the Dome, $700 million of money that wasn't there, they would have been able to have 10 more years of the lease.
What team would Cooper Kupp have had a Hall of Fame career for?
That's a great question. Maybe New England.
That would have been perfect. That was a good hit.
Yeah. So, and we would have gone through 6 or 7 different quarterbacks. But here's the other thing you got to know is that even if the Rams had not been approved by the NFL to go, Kroenke and Demoff had said they weren't playing another game in St. Louis.
I wrote down this segment to make fun of Sean Payton for Bountygate and Russell Wilson for being a nerd, and somehow St. Louis football is still taking flack over.
Well, you brought up Russell if the Rams were still here.
Yeah, that was high definition. It was a well struck blow. I'm just disappointed it happened.
Yeah. I am sad for the guy because I really was a Russell Wilson fan.
I loved Russell
even
Wilson.
though I think it was Bradford's. No, it wasn't. It was 11. I think it was their first
Russell
game.
Wilson.
And the Rams always played Seattle tough.
Yeah.
Right. And Wilson, I think the morning of the season, it was either 11 or 12. And he puts on Twitter 1-0. And the Rams were all pissed because he thought that he was saying that they had already won. And I think the Rams might have even won the game. They didn't win many of those.
He was fantastic at Wisconsin, and then him just breaking everybody's narrative about needing to be tall to play quarterback in the NFL was so fantastic.
If Drew Brees hadn't done that already, he definitely did. And now things have changed dramatically.
Yes,
and you know what?
Swung the other way again.
I will give the Giants credit for getting Jackson Dart in there too. I liked Dart in college. I didn't think that he was ready to go though. The offense that Lane Kiffin employs, but he's ready to go. He's going to be, if they can protect him, a good NFL quarterback.
And here's the thing about him too. I didn't realize that but he's done it 2 or 3 times now where he's stuck his foot in the ground and accelerated away from the second level from linebackers and safeties. If you have that kind of athleticism of a quarterback, to stick your foot in the ground and accelerate away from the back end of a defense, that is legitimately, I'm not saying he's this level of athlete, but the only guys I've seen consistently do that are Cam, Lamar, Michael Vick, Colin Kaepernick, and I don't know if there's a fifth one. Like those are the guys I've
Mhm.
seen stick their foot in the ground and accelerate away from the second level of a defense. And Jackson Dart's done it multiple times. He's a freak athlete, legitimately.
Yeah, he's really good. Oh, one other point, by the way, about this little story. Is there a coach, maybe in NFL history, that gives less Fs than Sean Payton? Remember last year, or maybe it was his first year in
Currently employed
Denver.
NFL coach?
Any coach ever, where like he would take shots at the opposition, like he said here, or when he said that last year's Broncos, when he got the job, last year's Broncos were the worst coach team in the history of the league by Nathaniel Hackett.
That's fair. I was gonna say I'd argue maybe one of the other coaches with him in Seattle, in New Orleans during
Greg
Bounty
Williams?
Gate might
Yeah.
take the cake on that
Yeah,
one.
Greg Williams is he's the king of not giving a F. But
There's like a 10% chance Greg's watching.
yeah, hi Greg. But which is great. I love the swagger.
I loved that defense.
But, I don't think that Sean Payton cares who he pisses off at this point. I think he's got the old man filter gone thing, and it's great.
I too, much like Greg Williams, saw that one scene in Friday in Remember the Titans and decided that would be my ethos for coaching football as well.
Which one?
We're gonna blitz all night.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's what he did. So there you have it. That's the Randy Karraker Show, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. And don't forget, check out everything we got on STL Sports Central. Bernie Miklasz, greatest columnist in the history of St. Louis sports, is at stlsportscentral.com. You can subscribe to the newsletter. You can like this video so that you get notifications about when we're coming up next. Follow us on all the socials because that's important to us. Yes.
Redbird review from yesterday that I haven't got to read yet. Guys, you have to read this one. Redbird Cardinals can learn from the Blue Jays rebuild. Bernie goes shot for shot in how the Blue Jays got back to the World Series and how the Cardinals can learn from it. That is appointment reading right now on STLSportsCentral.com.
Who is going to be the Cardinals' Kevin Gossman?
Ooh.
Who is going to be the Cardinals' $500 million player? Who is going to be the Cardinals' Chris Bassett?
Liam Doyle.
There you go.
And Tanner Franklin.
But you got to sign free agents.
Oh,
That's what those guys.
Oh, okay.
Who's going to be the Cardinals' George Springer? I want to read the article.
It's insane with 3 deep here and haven't said Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It's kind of a key part too, signing the 13-year deal for the future of the next 10-year, decade of your franchise.
Yeah, who's going to be that guy, and who's going to be the guy that hits home runs? It can't be done, but and we'll talk to Bernie about that, and you'll be able to see it on Friday. Looking forward to it. Congratulations to Tony Vitello from DeSmet, from Mizzou, and now the manager of the San Francisco Giants. We'll try to get him on the show here in the very near future. Appreciate you being with us, and we will see you next time here on the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central.